All right, here we are. Hi, I'm Sam Gaylord, and I am managing partner of the law firm of Gaylord Pop in Trenton, New Jersey. And I am here today to continue our how-to series regarding different aspects of disability claims in New Jersey. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how to apply for state temporary disability benefits. Now, if you have been injured in the course of your employment under New Jersey law, you should be receiving workers' compensation benefits, which would entitle you to medical treatment. It would entitle you to receive temporary disability through the workers' compensation insurance carrier, which is 70% of your gross weekly wage, and it would also entitle you to an award for your injury. Now, there are situations where a worker has been injured, and then there's either a question about how they got hurt, or their disability is questioned as to whether or not it is work related. In that context, if they are out of work, doctor has them out of work, then they are entitled to apply for state temporary disability benefits, assuming the employer contributes and participates in that program. There are certain municipalities, certain entities that aren't forced to participate, but for the most part, the employers, if they contribute to state disability, and if they get hurt, and if workers' comp is denying the claim, then they are entitled to apply for state temporary disability benefits. In addition, if you are injured at home, or if you have an illness that is clearly not work-related but prevents you from being able to um, uh, work, then you are going to be entitled to apply for state temporary disability benefits. So without further ado, we're going to do that. And basically what you want to do is you go over to your web browser and you type in New Jersey Department of Labor. The search comes up right there as the first website, and then what you're going to do is you're going to drop down here to temporary disability benefits, hit that, and then you're going to come over here to where it says worker, and you'll hit that, and then where it says state disability benefits, you'll hit that. Now, this particular section of the web page for temporary disability benefits discusses some of the primary issues that you'll need to know regarding eligibility, how to apply, and those things I'm going to sort of go with you through with you this morning as we're talking. The first eligibility requirement is wage requirements, and state disability requires that in order to have a valid claim, that you have at least 20 calendar weeks, or what they call base weeks, in New Jersey covered employment, where you have earned $145 or more, or it also indicates that if you've earned $7,300 or more during the 52 weeks preceding your injury, or what they call the base year, then you would also be eligible to receive or at least apply for state disability. What they determine, or what state disability uses as an average weekly wage, is based on the earnings, or the average earnings, in the 8 calendar weeks which precede the disability. And what they consider an average week, or I should say, if the average of the 8 weeks that precede the disability are less than the 26 weeks that precede the disability, then you would be entitled to request, although you have to do that in writing to the state disability office, you can request they recalculate your wages based on the 26 weeks rather than just the 8 weeks. So if you're approved, what's your weekly benefit amount going to be? If you are approved, your weekly benefit is 2/3 of the average weekly wage up to a maximum. And in 2013, the maximum benefit is $584 per week. There are some limitations to the benefits, and I want to address those really quickly. The first benefit, or I should say the first limitation, indicates that for the first 7 consecutive days of disability, or what they call a waiting week, the you actually do not get paid unless your disability extends for greater than 3 weeks. And if the disability extends for greater than 3 weeks, state disability after that 3-week period would then send you the check for the initial waiting week period. State disability has a maximum of 26 weeks worth of benefits. And if the disability did not commence during the covered period, or basically while you were employed, or within 14 days of your employment, then you would not be eligible. However, and in a separate video we'll address this, if you were disabled after 14 days, there's a separate program called Disability While Unemployed, which you can apply for. The next limitation is that you must have a doctor, either a licensed physician, a dentist, a podiatrist, a chiropractor, an optometrist, psychiatrist, psychologist, indicating that you are still disabled and that you cannot perform your job. And there's a specific form which is called a P30, which state disability will send you on a regular basis during your disability, which you must complete and then provide to your doctor so they can continue to complete the fact that you are in fact disabled. If state disability determines that your disability is caused as a result of your intentional self-infliction of an injury, they're not going to pay benefits. Sort of makes sense. Also, if you are injured while in the performance, or should say in the process of committing a crime, state disability is also not going to pay you benefits. If in fact you are being paid your full wage from your employer, or a portion of your wage, then state disability either won't pay you because you're getting still paid your full wage, or will reduce your benefits based on the monies that you are still receiving from your employer. Also, state disability does not pay you if you are a covered government worker. Then under state disability law, you have to exhaust all of your sick time. As I indicated, the state disability benefits aren't paid if in fact you're receiving other benefits, so that therefore there's not a duplication of benefits. However, if you are receiving Social Security retirement, those benefits do not reduce what you would be entitled to receive under the state disability plan. Also, if you're receiving disability benefits from another state, not New Jersey, that too would not go to reduce your state disability benefits. So, how do you go about applying? Well, there's a couple of different ways, but what I usually will tell clients is you want to go right to here where it says how to apply, and you click on that, and then you're looking for the DS1. Now, state disability tries to make this as simple a process as possible so that you can submit the paperwork, that you can get it from your employer, you can get it from your union, or basically you can follow this how-to video, you can get the application right here online. So we're going to hit that button, and it pops up here, hopefully. There we go. So this is the claimant rights and responsibility. It basically explains what you need to do, and that you can't misrepresent certain facts, that you must advise and keep state disability informed as to any other benefits. That's right here, where it's workers' comp, Social Security. That you must continue to provide the P30 form right there, which is the request for the continued medical certification, indicating that the doctor is still saying that you're disabled. And these are your responsibilities. And if you have questions, they give you that information. So now, if you want to apply, right here are the instructions on how to apply and how to fill out the form. I'm going to actually go through that with you in a minute here, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The state disability application is a three-part form. You will fill out Part A and A1. Your doctor will fill out Part B, and your employer will fill out Part C. And the employer filling out Part C is important because the employer is going to certify as to what your wages are. So certainly that would determine your payments. And certainly, if you notice that there's an error or an issue with what the employer is indicating as to what your payment should be, then you'd want to immediately notify state disability of that. And then it gives you simple instructions on how to complete this particular form, which is called a DS1. And here is the actual form. So let's take a look at this. The Part A is pretty self-explanatory. It's your basic information, your name, birth date, Social Security. All of these informations, or all of this information, must be included. Are you a citizen? Yes or no. What was the last day that you actually worked before your disability began? So certainly if your disability begins in the middle of the day for some reason, then you want to include the full date prior to the date that you became injured or ill. First day that you were unable to work would be, in fact, that half day that you had to be taken out of work. If there's emergency room care, so on and so forth, describe your disability. Now here, where it says how, when, where it happened, and gives you all of 2 lines there, I've indicated to clients before that if you feel that it's necessary to include more information, then you can insert a separate piece of paper. However, to try and keep it as simple as possible, to just use the space that's provided. Now here comes the big issue, and one of the things that I wanted to address specifically in this video. Question number 17, was it caused by your job? If you, for example, have developed carpal tunnel syndrome and because you've done data entry for 15 years and you've indicated that to your employer, and your employer or their insurance company is denying you workers' compensation or not even offering you workers' compensation, and you had to be out of work because you have to have carpal tunnel surgery, you're going to want to check off yes here. Was the illness or injury caused by your job? Yes. And if yes, the date the work-related injury or illness occurs. Now, if it's a carpal tunnel case where it's progressing over a period of time, what you'd want to indicate there is perhaps the first time you've seen a doctor, or when it became so bad that you made a request to your employer. There's any variations in the dates that you can use in that particular section. Was your employer notified? This is also important in terms of notifying the job as to whether you believe the disability to be or not to be work-related. But here's what happens. If in fact it's work-related, or you indicate that it's work-related, and the job is going to say no, you would check off yes. You then go about filling out the rest of the form, 1819. If you're receiving any other benefits, that you want to make sure is accurate, any of the pension information or disability benefits or anything else, obviously there. A1 is just your signature, and you don't have to worry about the rest of that. Part B is going to be filled out by your doctor. And you can basically bring the form to the doctor's office. They usually take a couple of days, and then pick it up, because you're going to want to be the one who submits the form to state disability. You don't want to rely on anyone else. This is too important to leave to either the doctor's office to send it to the right spot, or even your employer, quite frankly. But the doctor would go about filling out the original Part B application here. And then here comes Part C, which is your employer's portion. And again, you can drop that off human resources, personnel, whoever's in charge of payroll, and they would go about filling out their last questions here in terms of your salary. And then over here is where you're going to see when the disability began and then the different disability weeks preceding when you got hurt, so that they can calculate what your gross weekly wages would be. Okay? So and then you'd pick that form up. So now you have all parts, A, A1, B, and C, completely filled out. So now what we're going to do is I'm going back up here to here. So back to this question 17. So the whole form has been filled out. So it's submitted to State Disability, and the way to do that is the address for State Disability is on the initial form, and you'd send that directly to State Temporary Disability Benefits. Now, the most important part here is that if you feel that it's work-related, then you should absolutely be contacting a certified workers' compensation law attorney like we are at Gaylord Pop, because you're going to need someone to file for you a workers' compensation claim in the state of New Jersey. Why? Well, you need that because you've checked off yes on question 17, you're going to get in the mail, probably within 7 to 10 days of processing this application, several different forms. You're going to get a form that's going to ask you to sign to say, are you really sure that it's work-related? And the most important thing that you're going to get is what is called a contested workers' compensation form. Why is that important? Well, what's happening is State Disability is attempting to assert a lien against your workers' compensation case. Now that's okay, because if you get an attorney, and at this point, because things are being denied, you should absolutely get an attorney. And again, one who specializes in workers' compensation. But once you have an attorney, they're going to file for you a claim petition in the Division of Workers' Comp, which was actually our first video. Now, you're going to get a claim petition number. On the contested workers' compensation form that you're going to receive, you're going to have to insert the claim petition number. This way, State Disability can assert a lien against your workers' compensation case. And again, I said that's okay. And the reason that that's okay is because your workers' comp claim will proceed. And one of two things is going to happen. Either A, it's going to be determined that it is work-related, in which case the workers' comp insurance carrier should have paid you workers' comp benefits to begin with. So the workers' compensation carrier is going to be responsible to reimburse State Disability, and if your wages are high enough, should also pay you the difference between workers' compensation benefits, which is 70% of your gross weekly wage tax-free, and what State TDB paid you for the period of time that you were out of work. Or a judge of compensation is going to determine that it's not work-related, in which case, if that happens, then State Disability should have paid you benefits to begin with, and at that point, you wouldn't have to pay anyone back. So that's why it's critical that if in fact you're being denied benefits, and if you think you've been hurt at work, and if you're completing this State Disability application, then what you're going to want to do is make sure that you have, in addition to filling out this form, contacted an attorney who's certified as a workers' compensation law attorney in New Jersey, and get their opinion as to what to do for purposes of receiving the appropriate workers' compensation benefits. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to visit our website, www.gaylordpop.com, or you can contact us directly at 609-771-8611. I thank you, and I look forward to doing the next video next weekend. Have a happy Labor Day.